Well, are they? Is everything a social construct? Well, let's just define things first. I'm gonna read the thing I've written. So we have lots, and defining morality based on all of these different factors of our societal life is, in my opinion, wrong. It's really wrong to base your morality on constructs based on our society. Stuff like, I don't know, race, gender, just various other traits in general, just identity factors, something you can identify by a person, from the outside, usually visual factors, or sometimes linked with the contents of their speeches, or just their speeches in general. They're not real. They don't mean anything. Any decent IQ having sentient being or just living matter knows that. So to extract value from them is just utterly wrong, But is it a righteous path to abolish their existence? I went down this thinking trail when I thought about Pride Month. First of all, happy Pride Month. But the idea of the Pride Month led me to think about the tolerance of people. Fuck everyone who is intolerant of a living piece of matter. I guess especially a person being something that has sentient, not humans. But that idea is unfortunately labeled as left-sided ideology. Unfortunately, because it should be the norm, but it's not. It puts everyone at on the same level, at the same ground. Literally everyone. The further you go, the more, at the basic central level, you could say you have just basic rights between all humans. Okay, so you go further down the path, you see maybe animals getting put equal to humans. That way of thinking can make one believe that a whole societal reality, so how we live in this community, not metaphysics wise, they could think that our reality is an ocean. It's liquid. It's free with no rigid bodies and no paths. Everything is everything, and everything is individual. You pick your doing, so your actions, and they are based on local entities, so to speak. You do as your subconscious desires, which eventually turns into your conscious. Want to eat a specific food? You do that. One moment you want to have sex with a woman? You do that. The next with a man? You do that. You want to play something or compete in something? You do that. You are in reach, and you are not expected to handle in a different way, nor do you have expectations of that. Only limit is if that perturbs the other living matter in this ocean. Doing that changes the mathematical vector value of that region. So if you forcefully have sex with someone, you have damaged a part of the ocean, which may suck everything in or push it away. Either way, disturbing and harmful to all parties. This is the reality of this way of thinking. So seeing any form of hierarchy is a cancer to this, because you are forcing solid bricks out of liquid water. However, as much as this portrays a dreamed upon reality, and to some the actual true reality, you must accept the local reality, and the reality that is at least manipulated by others to be seen as. We're not perfect, we're not purposefully created, we have no purpose. We just happen to be a matter of this ocean, and it's an infinite ocean in every vector, in every mathematical axis. We see identity and have prejudice no matter what. You see a person with long hair, they're shaved everywhere, somewhat thinner, maybe they have makeup, you assume that that's a woman. You have somebody with a beard, maybe more hair in general, you would say that's a man. Now you see that same man, someone with a beard, but they have makeup or they talk a little differently, you would assume that they're gay. So that exists. What I find somewhat ironic, though could be explained by my ignorance, which I am trying to fix, is that the idea of gender identity seems to be somewhat contradictory to this idea of no hierarchies and no pre-described roles. Because a man or a woman can be a gender or a sex. A sex is mere biology, but gender is an identity factor. So that's how we are supposed to identify someone. If someone has the sex of a woman, though it feels, or that person feels as they belong in the boots of a man, they change their looks to fit the encompassed definition of a man. They may make themselves somewhat bigger, or grow some facial hair, or just cut their hair to be short. Though the goal is to abolish the stereotypes and roles given out by society to specific people. Wouldn't it then be more logical for everyone to not even mind the whole gender thing at all and just live, except that we are part of an ocean and not any rigid bodies? I mean, a futuristic dream version of this may be that everyone is just gender fluid or gender neutral. Sure, you have your sexes, but no one cares about that per se. I have curls, some people have straight hair. It's just different. Everything is different. Maybe there's no two things that are the same, no two atoms that are the same. And in this futuristic, dream, I would say, everyone may also just be pansexual, they don't care about your gender, they just date who they want to date, although they might be some preferred sexual organs that are wanted to be used more, let's just say. Leading back to the original question that has not been uttered, are these identities supposed to be abolished, to have everyone be completely indifferent to them? So much so as their society becomes gender fluid or, gender neutral. I mean, I have no real idea, to be honest, because yes, they make people comfortable. However, if they were to be completely alone in a world where there are no eyes laid upon them, no one really watching them, no one really present, obviously excluding loneliness factors and all of that, would they care so much as to prescribe themselves a specific gender? Or would they merely do what they want and grab at those local entities in the ocean? Having multiple tolerated identities could make our world, our reality more diverse, with multiple communities where anyone can just pick where they want to be and who they want to be. But would it be true diversity if no one cared about their identity and just did what they wanted? To an extent, obviously, but to be free? Or would that actually eradicate diversity? Is that eradication a bad thing per se? Or is it merely a trap of moral righteousness where you could prove it to be morally right, though it's just not? It's too bland and too distasteful toward multiple people's reality envisioned. I mean, I'm not sure what the right answer is, but it definitely should not be forced or intensively chased. At the shore of this ocean, you should not force your idea for a utopia, because that is a dystopia, that very thing, to force a utopia. It's what fascists think they're doing. They think they're doing the right thing, but they're not. We should merely tolerate everyone who is unharmful to the rest and be intolerant against the intolerant. I do believe a striving toward eradication of powerful hierarchies of individuals is a righteous move. However, whether that includes identities in that case, that's irrelevant actually, because it depends on the will of the identity haver. Whether social contracts are bad or not, that's for the social to decide, and essentially only proven by our time stream. How our world will look like in the future is the answer to this question. And oh man. Hey, you should eat that.
Why?
Yeah, that's what they eat at the east, and in the far land. So don't want to appropriate nothing. So just stop. All right.
I do what I fucking want. Just shut your ass and drive.
Well, I don't mind if we both die, so... What? Okay, well, I got interrupted by the non-asked-for family of mine, but